Scott Hanson, first, let me get your thoughts about the return of Tom Brady and that Buccaneer victory in Foxborough.
Well, the game of the century of the week is now in the rearview mirror. And I think there's a lot of people who are glad that it's over with. And I think those were all the key components in it. I think Bellichick and Brady are so happy it's over. If there's going to be bouquets thrown or arguments to be had or whatever is the real story behind the scenes, those two guys who are so maniacal about preparation, they don't want it to happen in season, right? Go on Robert Kraft's yacht in June or sometime in the future and hash it out and have remembrances and whatnot. But it was a heck of a thing to see. I mean, this is Michael Jordan. This is Wayne Gretzky. This is Mike Tyson in his prime, Ali in his prime. It's the greatest team sport athlete arguably ever. Certainly the greatest quarterback of all time. Probably the greatest football player of all time. Going back to where he became who he became. Fun stuff to watch. And for most of your viewers and listeners, fun for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to come out of there with a W.
Now you see literally every football game, every week, every Sunday on Red Zone. How do you think the Buccaneers, as defending Super Bowl champs, stack up against the rest of the league?
Yeah, it's a great question because, all 22 starters back, number one in everyone's power rankings at the beginning of the year, look strong in their offensive performance in the season kickoff game against the Dallas Cowboys. And yet, in subsequent weeks, we have not seen this defense be what we thought it would be. And if I'm a Buccaneers fan, I'm concerned, but I'm also hopeful because the personnel is still the same and they didn't really figure it out and put it all together last year until about the midway mark. And almost everybody attributed that to, Tom Brady, new offense, getting, his personnel and getting down the playbook and whatnot. But defenses sometimes take time to gel. But they got to get it. They got to get it going because they are not, power rankings are what they are, but they're not a top. They're probably not a top 3 team in the NFL right now. Okay. I mean, that's, you are what your record says you are. Right. And yet they still absolutely are going to have all kinds of say into not only what happens in the NFC playoff race, but the Super Bowl playoff race as well by the end of it. Look, put the ball in Tom Brady's hands. For those of you watching the Keck show, I'm holding a football. For those of you listening to it, I have so much nervous energy sometimes that I like to hold a football and twirl it in my hands and whatnot. But put the ball in Tom's hands at the end, and I'll take that to the bank as about as much of a sure thing as there is in sports today.
Is there anybody on the planet that sees more NFL football than you do?
I mean, yes, all of the people on the staff with me at NFL Redzone, because even people who watch every second of NFL Redzone, what you have to understand is we do have an advantage because you're watching NFL Redzone. I'm watching 8 or 9 games simultaneously while I'm doing Red Zone. So we mix the best of everything to get it to you. But in a certain sense, I am kind of watching every snap of every game. And then I'm such a football junkie that after signing off on Red Zone and we do the touchdown montage at the end, right, to show you every touchdown in the music video, I take off my microphone, pop out my earpiece, run down the hall, wipe off my makeup, jump in my car, and scream on the way home so I can get there to see the first snap of Sunday Night Football. And I stay up all night. And then I'll stay up all night here in Los Angeles, where I'm talking to you from, watching all the highlight shows. I'll watch all the NFL Network highlight shows. I'll watch the ESPN highlight shows just to make sure we on NFL Red Zone did not miss anything on an NFL Sunday. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing I have a lot of energy, I guess, and that I am an absolute football junkie from the time that I was 8 years old or 10 years old.
Now, how did it start? And when producers first came to you, did you think it would turn into what it is now?
It's easy for me to say that now that, I knew this was going to be a galactic hit because it is. But truly, Al, I did feel that way when we were starting NFL Red Zone Because the pitch, I mean, listen to the pitch. It's going to be 7 hours, the early window games and the late window games. There are going to be no commercials. You can show anything you want, basically, but we're going to commit to showing every touchdown from every game live or seconds after it happens. And we'll be able to control everything and make choices based on hopefully our TV expertise and our football knowledge. And I'm like, if we're doing that and we get the best team together to do that, what's not to love? I mean, if you're a Buccaneers fan, great, wonderful. You want to watch every second of the Bucs game, every snap, right? But if the Bucs are your favorite team, I can almost guarantee your second favorite team is your fantasy football team or whoever you've got a prop bet on or whatever the case might be. And you need to watch that. And you can't watch one game to see your fantasy team play or your opponent's fantasy team play. You need everything mixed together. And if you trust us to do our jobs, you're not going to miss any moment that people will be talking about on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday during an NFL week. You're not going to miss it on NFL Red Zone. And so to wrap up the answer to that question, in the very first episode, and I'm on record as saying this, you can look it up. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. The very first episode, the very first minute of the very first episode, they came on to me on camera at the beginning in the studio, and I said, "Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Hanson. Welcome to the debut of NFL Red Zone, the channel that we hope and think will change the way you watch football." Yeah. And it may have seemed like it was hyperbole at the time, but I said it then, and I wanted to be on record because I meant it. I really thought if we do this well, this will change the way people watch football. And there's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't bump into me in the airport or a grocery store or wherever saying NFL Red Zone has changed the way I watch football. And that's very gratifying, really.
Give me your craziest story on set with everything going on, with people scoring and trying to keep up with everything. Give me your craziest story.
Yeah, we've had a couple. The one that fans seems to resonate with fans was going back to Robert Griffin III's rookie year. So this would have been 2011, which was also Andrew Luck's rookie season, which was also Russell Wilson's rookie season. Okay. And we went to a triple box for the NFL Red Zone faithful. You know, that's putting 3 games on it simultaneously because we try and make value-based decisions, but sometimes all the games are equal, right? Everybody is first and goal and they're all, and we don't want to pick one team and not show another. So we'll go to a triple box. We went to a triple box and the following 3 things happen within 45 seconds of each other. And when we go triple box, I call the action. I try to do play-by-play for all 3 simply because we don't want to choose one audio or the other audio because we'll miss one play-by-play guy in this stadium, won't be calling. So, and we don't want to mix all 3 because it wouldn't be intelligible. So I was calling them and 3 things happened simultaneously. This is trying to test my memory here. Robert Griffin III, right, which at the time Washington thought they had found their franchise quarterback. He looked great early in his rookie season. They had the ball and the lead, and they needed a first down just to ice the clock. Not only did he get a first down, but he broke away on a quarterback run. Remember, he ran a 4.4 40. He broke away, and this is at FedEx Field in front of all the then Redskins fans, and he goes for a 76-yard touchdown. So that was the first snap, and he's going up the sideline. I'm like, not only does he have a first down, he's going to break away. And the crowd is just losing its mind for not only were they going to win, but what he did on that play. And we finally found our franchise quarterback. At that moment, when he was literally crossing the end zone, a rookie quarterback by the name of Russell Wilson was taking a deep shot at home he was at home in Seattle against Tom Brady and the Patriots, who were winning the game in the late 4th quarter. Seahawks needed a touchdown, and Russell uncorks like a 50-yard bomb touchdown in the final minute of the game to Sidney Rice, the old wide receiver, caught it, and a rookie was beating Bill Belichick and Tom Brady at that moment And then seconds after that, the Arizona Cardinals were lining up for a game-winning field goal at home. So that also adds to it. When it's at home, the atmospheres, the stadiums are just so wild when the home team's making a winning play. And the kick, Jay Feely, I think, was the kicker at the time. Jay Feely sends a game-winning kick as time expires, and he hits it off of the right upright, and it ricochets, and it sends that game into overtime. Now, I just took 2 minutes to tell you all those. That all happened within a span of 30 to 45 seconds. And when all of those things happened, and we covered all of those things, and our audience not got to see one of them 2 hours afterwards on NFL Network or ESPN in a highlight show, they saw it while it was happening. Our eyes opened up, and we were like, we have seen the light. And this is the future of the way people are going to want to watch football. So I would go back to that moment as one of our favorites in the history of 13 years of doing the show now.
And it is so right on. Final question for you.
Yeah.
Red Zone, tailor-made for fantasy football. It's become its own industry. Yeah. Do you feel like you've contributed to the growth of fantasy football?
Yeah, I think NFL Redzone certainly has. And the funny thing, you asked me because I'm your interview subject here. People always ask me, hey, Scott, we always try and figure out, my wife, my girlfriend sit and watch you or whatever. And we try and figure out who's your favorite NFL team. Because we think sometimes you give more oomph to a highlight of this team or that team. And the reality is I do not have a favorite NFL team. My favorite football team is my fantasy football team, the Iron Bladders. And so I am rooting for my guys, just like you all are rooting for your guys at home. And I absolutely think we have attributed to the growth and the proliferation of fantasy football, because I think anytime I'm showing almost anything on NFL Red Zone, I mean, it could be a 7-yard touchdown in a 28-10 game when one team's, handling the other team, and it's just a little short pass to the tight end for a touchdown. Somebody's got that guy on his fantasy roster, right? And someone's playing against him on their fantasy roster. So everything we show on NFL Red Zone, I picture people on their couch howling in joy or in agony based on what we just showed them, because it's affecting their fantasy team. And that live, immediate gratification for fantasy fans is what helps spur them on to keep playing it with their friends, their college buddies, their families, their coworkers, whoever comprises their league, and keeps it rolling year after year, week after week.
And that is what television, true television, is all about.
Right? It's the toy department. We are in sports. How blessed are we? And that people work their butts off in whatever their 9-to-5 job is, and they might get 1 day, 2 days off a week. If they're going to spend it watching me on NFL Red Zone, I'm going to give them everything I got. And I hope it's as fun of a watch as it is fun to host it and to be in the captain's chair doing it.
Scott Hanson, NFL Network and Red Zone. You can follow him on Twitter at Scott Hanson. Scott, thank you so much.
Al, good to see you again. And shout out to everybody back there in one of my old favorite markets that I ever worked in, the Tampa Bay area. Love it. Love it that it's become Champa Bay, Tampa Bay, all the other slang nicknames that they've called it. Good to be with you again, and all the